Hey everyone, thank you for joining the DraftSight API webinar. This is an introduction to DraftSight API programming and administration that was held at June 19th. My name is Ilan Singer and I'm a customer support at DraftSight and also in SolidWorks products that related to DraftSight. I work at the North America headquarters in Waltham, Massachusetts, and I work specifically with DraftSight for about 4 years. Here is my email, and here in the bottom of the slide, I encourage you to use it to communicate with me with this webinar and any other issue. Talking about technical support of DraftSight, this slide shows the DraftSight within related 2D CAD application that SolidWorks offer. For example, on the top left you can see SolidWorks itself, and there is the same document of a drawing of DraftSight that was converted to a SolidWorks drawing. So drawings in DraftSight can be converted and interchanged with SolidWorks, as well as insert as element to SolidWorks documents, part, drawing, and so on for the design. On the other side, you can see the e-drawing, which also can use DraftSight drawings, the DWG and the DXF, and also can DraftSight can export to the e-drawing its own format. At the bottom you can see the EPDM product, which is primarily to manage files, drawings of DraftSight and other products, and that can be used internally from DraftSight. In this example, using an add-in, which is part of our discussion today. So with all sorts of product and activity, and of course DraftSight issues and technical support themselves, we as a technical support engineers at SolidWorks support. Let's move on and discuss about today's webinar agenda. The first thing will be, the first thing I will show you two applications, API application. The first one is a standalone application, batch printing, as it's called, and the second one is a product, the APDM add-in, which was introduced already, and its interface as an add-in working from the internal graphic user interface and the command line of DraftSight. I also will refer you to the webinar blog that I dedicated for this presentation. Generally speaking, this blog purpose is to communicate with myself and among other programmers, as well as downloading the deliverable files of this webinar. We'll make a quick pass through what is API. Our primary focus will be the API help module, which is a very important tool to train and to program the DraftSight. We will go through creation of a standalone application using this API help module, code snippet. I will show you some examples. We will also create a basic add-in. I will show you just the process. The introduction of the standalone application will include debugging. I spoke already about the add-in creations. I'll give you some tips about how to communicate with the DraftSight tech support in regard to solving problem, enhancing enhancement request, and so on. And then we'll wrap up and discuss about the next webinar. So having said this, let me exit from here, and I'll open and show you just an example of a standalone API program. Then before this, I want to just remind you that as of today, and it might change in the future, DraftSight premium version, it's the only version, unlike the standard version, that support API programming and execution. And the way to check it, you can check it, for example, by going to the help, and you can see that in the help there are additional modules like the API help and the Lisp API help that can tell you that this is a premium version that supports API. So what is an API in execution? First one is, the first program that I'd like to show you is this program. It was created using the DraftSight application programming interface, and this program solved the problem of printing a batch drawings together. With DraftSight, as you know, the printing dialog can print one at a time drawing, even if you have several drawings open in DraftSight. So let's open this application. Double click on it, and you see that the GUI is open. A new Windows program is open, and we want to add some drawing first to this area here. So let's click here, and over here I have several drawings. I'll just do control click, open 3 drawings. Over here you can see that this utility was programmed to interface with my desktop printer, my available desktop printer. I will choose a free PDF printer driver, and these are more settings like copies, paper size, and so on. And if I click print, you can see there was a note here. Don't worry about it, I will explain it to you afterward. But you can see that the drawings are opened, and I have a dialog of my free PDF writer open actually 3 times for the 3 documents. So that's an example of an API standalone program. Let me terminate it here because I don't want to print it. And I can also close this program. You may notice there was some acknowledgement messages when I opened these drawings for printing, and this because I use the EPDM Vault. So let me discuss quickly about the EPDM Vault, just present it to you. And that's how the Vault looks like, this part of the EPDM installation as another product again of SolidWorks. That's how it's referred in Windows Explorer. We call it a Blueberry directory. That's actually a link to the Vault that is open here. You can see that I have several drawings here, and that's a nice product to manage and CAD in your shop for productions and so on. You can see that there is a preview. Sometimes it takes a while to open it. Oh, here we go. So there is a preview here of drawings. That might be a blank drawing. It's another drawing. Okay. Each drawing has a data card. manage the operation of it with this field. You can see it's related to the drawing itself with the model and the sheet. This information over here, version, and so on. So let me minimize it and go to DraftSight. DraftSight itself, in the premium version, can support controlling the EPDM vault. So you can see here that there is an EPDM toolbar, drop-down menu, sorry, over here, and also two toolbars. With several buttons to operate the EPDM utility. In addition to this, when this add-in is installed in a DraftSight, it comes also with a dedicated help. It's a primary help, but help you to maybe with the first step or some other understandings of what the toolbars do and so on. In addition to this, the DraftSight command line is also used with the operation of the EPDM add-in. For example, if I click here on this button here for checking out references of the drawing, I will be prompted here in the command line. So that's an example for a DraftSight API add-in in execution. This is the definition of an API, application programming interface. I added here also an example or a reminder that about the .NET, which is also an API between programs running in your Windows to the Microsoft operating system itself. So the .NET is a set of API to interact with this, and we will see some example how we integrate between the .NET APIs and DraftSight API. The DraftSight Premium comes with a very helpful module, which is the API help. Let me launch it and discuss about it in regard to how we can approach and understand how to use it. So the first page over here on the top is the welcome page, and actually this is a introductory section, but the last point that it makes here answer a repeating question that came from the field throughout the time, which are the supporting language that the API supports. I'm talking about this line here, okay? So if any of you wants to learn or to know the official supporting language, they are here. The next page is the release notes section. This is an important page, but it requires some understanding about the terms and how it's structured. But keep in mind that it exists over here for your needs. You can see that, for example, for the current field release, there are a lot of information about new interfaces, new attributes, and so on. So after becoming familiar with the API help and the API in general, you will be able to understand more what it says here, and it can answer your question when you're going to develop APIs. The next page is the primary focus actually of today's webinar. it is the getting started page. The getting started page, let me just scroll down quickly here and I'll show you what we're going to focus on today. So that's the introductory. You can see there are different sections here in bold title. Each of them has its own link here, so it's easy to go back and forth. And we will discuss about the type libraries and the API automation, how to create them. Then we move on, just touch a bit the templates for creating add-ins, and that's almost where we're going to stop. And you can see that this page here, the first programming language referred to is C#, and this is also will be our main programming language of today's webinar. The next page to discuss about in this menu here is the object model page. This is a good tool to use when you want to navigate or sort the API structure. Generally speaking, the API is a top-down hierarchy structure. And what was created here for you, let me click on this second link. You can see there are two links. I will refer to the first one later on, but this one here, this link here, is a reference to a graphic a diagram of the API structure. And this is the main diagram, and it's linked to more pages. So you can see at the top there is the main object, which is the application, and under it there are more objects, and under them sometimes you will see more. And let me just remove it here and refer to these two notes, and that helps you out to read or navigate through this diagram. So what it says is, above the object whose page you are viewing, this is the object that you're gonna see here appear. So you see some of them are clickable, okay, and below. So above, below, it's indicating what are these objects when you're accessing them or looking at them. To make it a bit more clear, for example, if you want to deal with a color object, above it, or what use the color object are these objects over here. Okay. The other link in this page is the application link. But before we click it, let me open this structure here, and you can see that it consists of under it of three sub-directories, so to speak: interfaces, event, and enumerations. If you click on the application, it will open for you over here the application object, which is the very top one. That's the highest in the hierarchy of the object models, as it says here. In general, and it's a very important principle, every API application, no matter what it is, a standalone or an add-in, has to refer to the API object, and then the program refer to object under it if you want to get to specific interfaces, methods, and so on. And we will see it in a program later on. So keep in mind this important principle, because it will go through our examples and our coming up examples. So how an interface help page is structured. On the top you can see the interface name. Then there is a very general description of what it does. In our case, we're talking about the application interface, and as we said, it allows access to all exposed interfaces in the DraftSight API. Next, it's going to give you the primary syntax in all the programming languages that DraftSight supports. And the next section is the example section. First, you're going to see normally in almost every interface a code example in C++, COM native and C++, and then a link to code snippet examples. In this case, because we're talking about the primary interface, the application, you'll see many code snippet links. And the next section is the object model that we already came through, and also related issues, which are referenced over here in this structure. Let's now move to another object. I'm talking about the eye circle. And if we click on the eye circle, you will see in the same manner of the eye applications, its descriptions and examples. And we'll scroll down and let's open a code example in C#, a code snippet actually. The code snippet is almost ready to be used in a programming environment like Visual Studio. So, you will see it's also structured very similarly. At the top there will be the general purpose of this code snippet, the code example, direction how to install it in Visual Studio, and also what's happened is referred to post condition after running the program. The rest of the information here is the code itself that we want to copy and paste in Visual Studio. So let's move to Visual Studio, and we have this code snippet. Actually, I copied and pasted it over here for you to show you. So I'll minimize and maximize Visual Studio. You can see that it's in C#. So I open a new project in C#. And then in the program C# default directory, I pasted the code snippet. It's very important to use correctly the structure here. So sometimes you will have to recode or do some minor changes in the program structure of the curly brackets here and so on. But over here I don't think I had to do too many change. You can see that I declared the namespace for DraftSight and also for Windows, because we're going to use the .NET Windows form, which is again also an API for generating messages. Going back to the Solution Explorer of Visual Studio, let's open the References section. And over here you can see that I added reference by right-click on reference, add reference. It's actually searching my desktop for libraries for references. So you have in different modes, and the recent one that I use, you can see it's actually referred to the DraftSight Intro DS automation type library. If I right click on it to open its properties, you will see the reference in property information, like the path, which is an important one. You can see it's included in the default installation path of DraftSight on the API SDK directory under the TLB directory itself. So the program itself here is ready to be used. Let's just go quickly about the code here. I'll undo this debugging point, and when we get after the declarations here, the set of declaration, and going into the main function of the program, you'll see that the first line of code, which commonly find in an API program, is a reference to the DraftSight interop API declaration, and under it, after declaring this one and this interop over here to the application interface, we're going down to the document and the model and the sketch manager. And if we open, sorry, this is the blog, I'll talk about it later. I'll open it again from here. So I'm talking about applications. So we have document manager, print manager, and so on. And over here you can see that these three were selected because they are needed for the program. Later on, there are just variable declarations, and over here it's the actual connection to the top iApplication reference assigned to this object. So from now on, I can reference any object under it after I connect it to the DS application. For example, if I type here again DS app, you can see that the IntelliSense of Visual Studio jumped in and offers me all the objects, the interface, and other type of elements in the API structure that related to. Okay, as well as this one here, for example, this method sits under it, and that's what choosing here. This is to abort a running command in this condition. Okay, so we don't need this. It was just to show you about the IntelliSense. And the rest of the code, you can see we're scrolling down here, assigning value to these variables. And over here, excuse me, we're calling up the insert circle, which is a method under the DS Sketch Manager interface, using this variable. And what it's going to do for us is insert circle in this location with this radius, and then throwing up messages, either this one or this one, according to the execution. And to see it running, we'll put DraftSight and Visual Studios side by side. put debug point over here, and we start running it. It's a console program, by the way, so as the direction told you, so we have this console window pop up for us. We don't have any usage for it. We'll debug when debugging program. We'll continue it F10, going through the program. You can park your mouse to check information, or open a watch windows here. Assign value to this. So where you can see the DraftSight object was assigned and has this information. And now we're going to the actually executions of the circle insertion, almost over here. So we open the sketch manager, allowing us to run this method here. And right now, by executing this command, a circle will be inserted in the graphics area. And moving on, this condition will be fulfilled. Circle was added to the drawing. We acknowledge it, and the program is finished. So let's go back to the Getting Started page and just review again this section over here. What I did actually, I copied and pasted this section here and discuss about this note here, telling you what to do with the DLL reference as we saw it in the program when DraftSight is updated, when you update the DraftSight version. So over here I copy this for you again, and again this is the note. Here you can see it in bigger form. It says that generally speaking, it talks about upgrading the DLL, because every release of DraftSight also the DLL is being updated. The next slide actually differentiate between the DLL that you can use, that you want to use or can use in your API programs. So the primary interop assembly for .NET, for example, if you want to achieve strong binding, and it's beyond the scope of this webinar discussion, but I put a web link here of Microsoft Developing Network that explain you more about strong names. And the bottom line here is that the DLL and the executable program are separated. This is more recommended just to achieve this condition. And if we go back to this program that I already showed you, you can see that the program, the executable and the DLL comes together. If you use the other DLL in your API programming, the executable and the DLL will be included in the same file. So there are pros and cons for running it in each manner. The next section in the content structure of the API in the help under the interface is the event. You can see that DraftSight offers you several events to help you control your programs. Event in general is a very important fundamentals in programming, which it's a structure. It's a programming structure that I will show it to you later on in code of executions. And to say the least about it is actually a signal to the program or to the user about specific occurrence or occurrences in the program execution. So let's move to the next program that I use from the code snippet is the fire application event, as the name implies, using events from the program. So that's the code snippet that was taken from the help. The precondition include discuss about this drawing that needs to be created in your C drive in this directory, as well as a PNG file that the program will going to use the insert method, and both of them actually will be inserted, the PNG and the circle, to a drawing that this program will open for you. And all these occurrences will be accompanied with event acknowledgements from the program itself. So the declarations are very similar to what we've seen before in the circle program. Same reference for DraftSight and Windows Forms. And the program C# code snippet pasted over here is also the beginning of it's similar to the circle. So you can see a reference to the application, and then open document. It will open a new document for you. And over here we have a set of event methods and declarations which are defined in the bottom down there, and we'll go through them later on. And actually we'll go through them right now. So the attach application event method, the first one, uses this event from DraftSight, and it uses C# delegates. A delegate is a special structure, event delegate in C# programming. And if you want to go to see what's going on behind it, you have to click here and use the F12 or the right button click. If you are in Visual Studio 2010, I will use the F12, and that's the event declarations of it. Okay, again under DraftSight, and using these events. The event notifications page structure are very similar to the interfaces. You can see, for example, this event object. This is the purpose of it, of the file new notify. This is the code structures, C++ snippet, and in the bottom the other languages snippets. Let's open the C#, and we're going to use this example in Visual Studio. So here it is over here. As we say, these are the events as I introduced to you. Let's go back to the C# program. And over here, again, a circle and a PNG file were created in my C drive test directory. And we are also recommended to start debugging with F10 to set the breakpoint where the project connect to DraftSight, which is over here, of course, not here. but over here. Okay? It's always a good idea, by the way, to build the code before you run it and to have acknowledgement about it. And in this case, as I said, as I showed you here, the programs will open the drawing document for us. So let's close all the drawings in DraftSight, minimize it a bit. It's also a console application, so as soon as we start it, the console window is launched and the debugger is parked here, and I continue with F10. I will go more quickly here and reminding you that this program exists in the blog that I'm going to show you soon. So this is the first notification. It's a bit tricky to go down to show it in the code here, because the debugger actually is waiting for us. I lost it, so let me just acknowledge it quickly here. Okay, and we go back to the debugger. So we are over here. The drawing circle DWG file was opened for us. Continue. So this condition were not fulfilled, luckily, I would say. Now we're going through these methods. So the next event over here, it's going to insert for us the PNG file, as you can see over here. The document was saved, so it's fired another event, and then the next event about saving, and it closed the document for us, telling us this. And we're almost done with the program. Notice the watch windows over here telling you about the program progress, and that's about it. Going back to the getting started page, our next topic is the add-ins. In today's webinar, I will just go briefly showing how to create an add-in. But this is the introductory information per se about the DraftSight add-ins. Generally speaking, it tells you what I already showed you about the menu bar, the toolbars, and so on. That is part of the add-in. The add-in is provided by DraftSight Premium or installed automatically in Visual Studio as a template. And there are a set of templates for different programming language like VB.NET, C#, and C++ flavors. And all of them can be run in Visual Studio automatically. In other words, as opposed to the standalone API that you need to reference the type libraries, over here it's done for you automatically, in addition to other files, links, and so on described to you over here with their purposes, and also before this how to create them. So if we open Visual Studio, let's use Visual Studio 2010 this time, and we create a new project. In the main dialog you will see for each of the supported programming languages as its own template to use to create a DraftSight add-in. For example, the C# will have this template. Visual Basic VB will have its own templates, and as well as the C++. So let's go back to the C# and create and select an add-in. It's important before this to know where your add-in project will be saved in your desktop. So here it is in our case. That's the name that we're gonna give it, C#5. I created some of them before, so that's the number 5 here. It's a good idea to check the create directory for solution over here. So you'll have all the files in one directory over here. And next is just to click OK. So the add-in was created for you. The different files in the project as described in the help over here can be seen over here, including the references to DraftSight. This time are the correct different references. These are the DS add-ins, as well as toolbar buttons files, graphic files, and the program itself, which is here. Looks like this. Is the GUI ID. We'll see it later on in the DraftSight interface. You can see that there are events here in the previous program by default. And more stuff that you can learn about it by yourself using the help. Over here in this file we use specific command to run a specific program. In this case it's Notepad. That's what the add-in is going to do for us. So this area, if you want to use the DraftSight API, you need over here to reference the DraftSight I application and the object under it, and methods and so on. So the next thing to do is to build a code, and you can see it's also built for us. And we can also start debugging it, especially if we start using, changing the code here, making this adding work for us in a specific functionality. So you can run it in debug or release mode. And if you start debugging it, you'll see that it will launch for you a new instantiation of DraftSight, in addition to the one that in my case already running. It's on my right screen, so let me put it back here for you. And you can see that DraftSight was launched with this add-in already included. And under the add-in menu bar, there is a drop-down menu with the command to run. In this case, it's to open a Microsoft Notepad. So this is just a debugging part of it to test our add-in execution. If we want, so I'll close this one, and if we want, when our add-in is ready, and if you want to deliver it to customers or colleagues, we actually need to use the DLL created by this add-in build. So let's go to DraftSight, my open instantiation, open a new drawing. So we'll have our menu bar open. You see now I don't have, of course, the C# add-in number 5 because it's not installed yet, and I want to install it in my current DraftSight installation. So what I'll do, I'll go to File, Open, and I'm gonna browse and I'm going to browse to this C# add-in that I created. And here it is. I'm going to open it, and I'm going to select DLLs here. Moving on here, and in the binary and the debug is the DLL for this specific add-in. I will open it, and a new dialog window is open. Over here you can see the class ID, the number that I showed you in the Visual Studio with the DLL path that I opened. You can put it a name, add-in number 5 maybe, and you will see where it's going to be shown to you. A pixel map is can also be useful. You can change the appearance and the GUI, and I'll show you exactly what I'm talking about. If I'm going here to this JPEGs, let's select this flower here. So I add it here as an icon, and you will see where it's going to be shown. And I click OK. I added it to my DraftSight installation, so you can see immediately this add-in appears in my menu bar. And if I want to add it in my toolbars, it will also be included here. I'm going to check it here. So it is there. This is an old one. I'll uncheck. But here is the toolbar created by the add-in. In addition to this, if you go to Tools, Add-ins, you will have a list of available installed add-in in your installation. And here is our add-in number 5 that we put in the text there, and the little flower icon, you can see it over here. So this is about add-in creation. The rest of the programming of it is done similarly to the API standalone application. You can actually take a code snippet and add them to the code here, and having a functioning add-in. The next topic is an information provided to you directly from us, from the tech support, and actually represent our work to the services that we can provide as DraftSight tech support services for you as developers. For example, what's happened if you go through the API help and you don't find a specific API for your needs? In other words, it doesn't exist as an API exposed function or event to run in your program. So by contacting us, you can consult with us. We will try to work with you first to reproduce the issue and approve it, and file an enhancement SPR for the development team, and also to offer you a workaround. And in this is actually a real example that I came across with one of the customers. And let me show you what I'm talking about here, which is the .plt format exportation. As you know, if you go to DraftSight and you go to File, Print, and if you check the Print to File, you will have a .plt export for you. So with the export file API, the option for PLT wasn't exist in the previous version of DraftSight. And a workaround for this, to automate it, is to create a list program like this one. And if you want to use it, this is part of the list script that we wrote for this customer. But over here you have this is the main command line. You can see that it uses command print with this setup, and the file name was concatenated with the .plt extension. So the plt out variable over here was used in the program over here. API, in the API there is a very useful method, which is the run command, existing under the I application. This command allows you to run any command that the command line or the command of the DraftSight can accept. For example, if you want to run load command, which is to load the list script, it will let you do it. And then if this Lisp has a command of its own to run this Lisp script, you can also use it in the code. In this case, we have a ABC LSP program that is run by using this command of ABC. This program, which is also available in the blog, is run from a GUI with a simple GUI over here. So the user has to type the command here and execute it, and the run command will be used for this. So if we go to the code, you can see over here the click run command button uses the run command for execution. And if we run it, let me minimize it. I will put a debug point because I didn't load this Lisp yet, so I want the program to stop over here. But if I run it and I open DraftSight on the side, and I will put, for example, R command, you can see that the arc was started here, prompting me to run. So the R command was run, prompting me to create an arc. And then I'll go back here. I need to load this program in DraftSight. So I'm loading the program over here, and if I continue running the program, you'll see that the program is actually, I terminated it, but the program prompted me. That's from the Lisp. It was run, and it prompting me to run this command. The Lisp itself, if you want to see it over here, it has it accepting 2 points and creating a line for me on the graphics area. So before we wrap up, I just wanted to show you the blog that I created for this specific webinar. You'll see the general information of it, but also if you click over here, you will be able to download all these programs that I showed you. And if you go down here, you can put comment and communicate this topic. Registration for the SWIM community for this blog is required. And I believe we are almost done. Let me just introduce you the last slides, and I look forward to see you on July 31st. Thank you very much for joining, and enjoy continuing using DraftSight and developing API with it.